Hello, I'm George Labovitz. As a professor, a researcher, and president of a consulting company, I spent a lot of my time talking to managers. Managers in literally hundreds of different kinds of organizations. And I think all of us who manage people have the same basic problem. We're trying to get things done. We're trying to get things done through and with the people who work for us. And that seems to be getting harder and harder to do. In a lot of organizations that aren't staying competitive, that aren't being as productive, there tends to be a tendency to blame the employees. That's a little bit like blaming the victim. I believe that management is responsible for productivity and quality and organizational success. That's why management's usually paid more than labor. We're paid to make it happen. But where did you learn to make it happen? Most managers today came out of the school of jump and I'll tell you how high. Came out of a traditional way of looking at the role or relationship between management and employee. And yet the companies that seem to be surviving in a hostile, changing, competitive marketplace don't seem to be managing that way. Managers and employees have a different kind of relationship, a collaborative relationship. You know, there is no data to support a thesis that happy, well-paid employees do anything of great value to organizations, except suck up pay and benefits. But there is significant data to support an argument that integrated organizations, organizations that are linked together from the top all the way down to the bottom, perform, are successful, provide quality products and excellent service. In order to enhance organizational integration, the focus does not have to be on capital investment. We're not necessarily talking about buying new machines, we're talking about new management attitudes, new management practices. My company, ODI, was engaged recently by a Fortune 500 company. They wanted to establish an employee involvement program from the top all the way down to the bottom. But the president of the company wanted to make sure that he and I were singing off the same sheet, so he gave me a little pop quiz. Before we started, he said, "Hey, consultant, is it possible for an organization to improve productivity by 25% without investing one new capital dollar?" And I started to tell him war stories of how he could do that when he stopped me and said, "Never mind, you passed the quiz." Last year in 4 of our plants, we increased productivity 31%, simply by changing management practice. That's what this program is all about, the focus on management practice. See, I feel that the key to organizational survival is ultimately employee involvement and organizational integration. Everybody in the organization focused on the same kind of objectives, with the same kind of standards, with the same commitment to excellence and quality. Employee involvement doesn't just happen. The key to making it happen is management. Management training and management understanding of how to make it happen. Here's how this program does that. We bring teams of managers or supervisors together from levels of the organization. We take them through a process of learning about behavior, individual behavior, and that means attitudes, motivation, perception. We teach them some skills related to coaching and listening and counseling so they can forge a closer relationship with the people who work for them. Then we move them into groups and group dynamics. We show them how a group well managed can be the most powerful tool that a manager can have to increase productivity, to increase quality. We then provide skills that give them a chance to practice things like managing change and managing conflict, about moving their whole organization forward and integrating it to convert it into an instrument for accomplishing organizational objectives. Ultimately, managers have to acquire and to practice those skills that permit them, with their own people, to identify obstacles to their people's productivity, to identify the barriers to enhance productivity and quality and commitment, to practice skills that allow people to influence decisions, to influence the design of things that are going to affect them. That's what this program is all about. When everyone in an organization does that, permits people to influence the design of systems, at every level of the organization becomes integrated. As teams of managers go through this program and begin to replace my cases with their cases, another dynamic gets started. The program itself becomes an instrument for organizational integration. Actually, I often think that sometimes the process of this program is as important as the content of this program, because it provides a structure for managers to come together and apply the same skills and same applications to their own shops. I'm on the board of a hospital in Boston, and occasionally department heads come before the board to make presentations. Recently, the director of nurses came before the board and explained to us how every nurse in the hospital was being trained in cardiopulmonary resuscitation. And as she was explaining this, one of the physicians on the board interrupted and said, "What a waste of time." And we stopped and said, "Why is it a waste of time?" And he said that we have experts in the hospital who can do that stuff. The nurses don't have to know it. The director of nurses nailed him. She said, "Look, I don't want one of my nurses to find a patient in cardiopulmonary distress and stand there wringing her hands saying, 'Oh, woe is me, when will the experts arrive?'" And I thought, as she said that, that's it. That's what this program is all about. We want to push expertise, commitment, dedication to quality, excellence, and performance down through every level of the organization, so that ultimately everyone in the organization will share the same commitment to quality and excellence and productivity that you have.